Welcome back to the Pylon YouTube channel. I'm just going to start off with this before I get filleted in the comment section again. I do not set this draft order. This is what Mock Machine, the draft network does. Like, they make this. I think it's predictive or it's based off of records. So if you have beef with this, I can't help you. But anyway, welcome back to the channel. We got our third mock draft right here. We are kind of getting rolling through the NFL season. Playoffs are closer than really. I mean, the months are flying by. But we are through week 11? I don't even know anymore. We got the Giants, Bucks tonight. Should be a close game, maybe. Bucks are pretty banged up. Bucks are vulnerable. I don't know. Giants are competitive, I guess. But anyways, before we get into this mock draft, please like, comment, subscribe, dislike, call me an idiot. I don't care. Just interact with the channel. It'll be a good time. I'll talk to you back. If you're going to call me an idiot, though, please just explain why I'm an idiot. I'm fine with that. But don't just be like, Mike, you're an idiot. Because then I'm going to sit here, read the comment, and be like, well, why am I an idiot? So if you call me an idiot, that's fine. Just please explain to me why I'm an idiot. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. But anyways, let's get into the mock draft. A lot of teams are shuffling around as I just look through it. I haven't done a mock draft yet with this situation we got going on up here, this order. So I'm interested. I want to see how this plays out. But let's go ahead and get into it. With the first pick, nothing has changed again. We still have the Lions. Can't win a game. I'm gonna go with I want to make it different. Like, I want to do something else, but I think you just have to go Kayvon Thibodeaux. I actually did just read a mock today though that Aiden Hutchinson went first, and I kind of have advocated like, why is there really that much of a difference between Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeaux? And I think the ultimate difference is, the more tape I watch and the more we learn about these prospects, the ultimate difference between Kayvon Thibodeaux and Aiden Hutchinson is Aiden Hutchinson has David Ogba coming off the other edge. Kayvon Thibodeaux's kind of by himself. So that's why I think Thibodeaux is like the number one consensus pick. So I have actually been thinking about with the Jets pick. I kind of want to mock an offensive looking route for the Jets. I don't think that really makes sense with pick 2. I don't really know if Evan Neal is your guy at pick 2, and you have Derek Stingley. You need secondary help bad. Kyle Hamilton's on the board. Marcus May is probably going to leave in free agency. You need edge help. Aiden Hutchinson's here. But I kind of like the idea. Like, let's look at the Jets, right? Like, the Jets need to protect Zach Wilson. I'm not a huge Mekhi Becton guy. A fan, I guess. I'm not a huge Mekhi Becton guy. He just seems like he's a big freak to me, but he's not healthy. He's not technically sound. He just kind of is like a body, a very big athletic body, but he's not like Rashawn Slater, who is just a technician on the line, on the left side. So I don't know how viable the long-term Mekhi Becton experiment is. So I like Evan Neal here. I also like them. I mean, it stinks because their picks have kind of been shuffling up because Seattle just lost again this week to Arizona. The Jets are a team, if they have 2-5, they definitely could trade back. They could probably take Evan Neal or Aiden Hutchinson, move back, shuffle back a few spots, and then this pick definitely could shuffle back and grab a receiver if they want to go that route. They do need a receiver help. Elijah Moore is very good, but Corey Davis is like old. I mean, he's good. Like, he's playing better than I expected, but I'm not a huge Corey Davis fan. I never have been. And they do need, they have Jamison Crowder. Denzel Mims is looking like a bust. So I think they definitely could, go into this receiver class. If they trade back, they could get Chris Olave. They could get a Garrett Wilson. They could get a Treylon Burks. They could get all these guys who look great. But I think because we're not doing trades at pick 2, such a long-winded answer for Aiden Hutchinson. We're going to go with Aiden Hutchinson. He is the best player available. I think that in Robert Saleh's system, he's going to want to go. They went pretty offensive-heavy last draft. They got Elijah Vera Tucker. They got their franchise guy in Zach Wilson. They got Michael Carter in the 4th round. I think this draft, they're going to want to invest into this defense because I think Saleh is kind of getting... There's no fire under him because it's his first season and this franchise is a disaster. But I think he wants to have a statement defense like he did it in San Francisco. So I think he's gonna. That's why every time I do a mock for the Jets, I always come back to just drafting these defensive pieces because I think that's what Saleh is gonna do. But pick 3, you have to go Evan Neal if you're the Jaguars. Cam Robinson's on the franchise tag. Who knows if he'll be back? You have to protect Trevor Lawrence. But Stingley is still on the board. Cornerback is not the biggest need. I think it's higher than where they have it listed. Like I would put it probably after safety. But I'm not a Jags fan, so I could be wrong on that. I'm going to go with Evan Neal. It's the right pick. You have to protect Trevor Lawrence. You don't want what happened to Joe Burrow to happen to Trevor Lawrence because it definitely is affecting Joe Burrow. Every time, there's about like once a game, Joe Burrow will get sacked, and he gets up very obviously in a ton of pain. Like in a ton of pain. But anyway, Texans at pick 4. So since we've been doing this, the Texans have been picking pick 2. So this is the farthest down the Texans have gone. I think you got to take Stingley here. You could go quarterback. You could do all that. But if you're going to do that, trade back. And we still don't know what picks they're going to have when they trade Deshaun Watson. That inevitably will happen if Deshaun Watson is eligible to play. I think that getting a lockdown corner, they are in a rebuild, right? So, like, what I would do is probably address their line first, whether that be in their defensive line, acquiring an edge rusher, or going into the trenches and getting some offensive pieces. But their offensive line's not terrible, and I think that they have a lot. I think with a player like Stingley being there, you take the best player available and address it later on in the draft. There's a good chance they have another first-round pick when all this is said and done. So they could draft like a Kenyon Green. They could draft a Ike Mikwonu. They could draft another because they probably looking at who they'll trade with. If we want to have this conversation right now, it'll probably be pick 10, pick 12, or pick 14. None of these guys. The Giants are going to snag 2 offensive linemen, in my opinion. Maybe an edge rusher and an offensive lineman. They got to do something in the trenches. Eagles are going to take best player available at every spot they have. So 1, 2, 3. Falcons are going to go interior defensive line, in my opinion. Washington's going to take a quarterback. And then Panthers are probably going to take a tackle. Broncos might take a quarterback, but this also could be Deshaun Watson. So they have the wiggle room to make a pick like that. But anyway, pick 5. Jets are back up. I think Kyle Hamilton's the best player on the board for certain. You have Kaiir Elam here, but pick 5 for him seems a little high. George Karlaftis, I love that pick. You have one of the best interior or best defensive lines if you take these 2 guys, which looks, I mean, they could do it. Excuse me. But let's see which tackles are available. I like Ike Mikwonu for them. I think this is a good pick. Trevor Penning, flying up draft boards out of Northern Iowa. He is an absolute beast. He just is a mauler. Every time you watch him, he's just washing people away. Same thing with Ike Mikwonu. Any Ike Mikwonu highlight you watch, someone ends up on their back. He is, to me, probably the best offensive lineman in the draft. And I've said that for 2 weeks in a row now, so I guess it's out there. I like wide receiver, but pick 5 is too high. So I think they're going to go best player available, and for me, that's Kyle Hamilton. I think that you now have a premier edge rusher in Aiden Hutchinson, and now you have a do-it-all safety, and you have your Jamal Adams replacement in Kyle Hamilton. I think Kyle Hamilton's going to be better than Jamal Adams, like way better. He could play the box like Jamal Adams can. He can line up out of the slot, and he can play coverage safety. So I think that you can't go wrong with this pick. You have the Giants pick 6, 7. Now, the past 2 mocks I've gone just back-to-back offensive linemen. Want to switch it up a little bit here. They have 2 back-to-back picks, so the order doesn't really bother me. But I want to go George Karlaftis. They desperately need help coming off the edge. They have Quincy Roche, who they acquired from waivers from the Steelers, who's playing very well. I don't want to say very well, but he's playing for a waiver wire pickup. Like, he's playing very, very well. And then they have Azeez Ojulari, who was leading rookies in sacks. I think Micah Parsons just passed him. So I like the Karlaftis pick here. You get another edge rusher, and this will change if Quincy Roche. A lot of people had a 3rd, 4th round grade on him. He ended up falling to the 6th, and then he ended up getting waived by the Steelers. I think the Steelers' plan was to waive him and then sign him to the practice squad, but the Giants claimed him before they could do all that processing. I'm not too sure how that works. I think you have to go unclaimed, and then they get signed to the practice squad. The Giants put a claim on him, so they have him. So if he pans out, I mean, that's an absolute steal of a third-round prospect that you got off of waivers. But if not, you have George Karlaftis, who's probably one of the strongest edge rushers in the class. He has a better bull. Like, if you watch these three, bull rush, George Karlaftis, in my opinion, has the best bull rush. Now, Kayvon Thibodeau and Aiden Hutchinson have way more bend coming off the edge, but George Karlaftis will absolutely just go straight through someone. You have DeMarvin Leal, who's also, like, his size makes him like a hybrid interior lineman or interior D lineman edge rusher. I think he's going to play at the edge. I think he's going to go back and forth depending on where he gets drafted. But anyway, back to the draft. Pick 7, we have the Giants again. I want to take Ike Mikwonu. I think you have Matt Parrott, who's like an experiment. He hasn't played right tackle yet. He's going to replace Nate Solder probably tonight if Andrew Thomas plays, and then you have Nate Solder become a swing tackle and you move Matt Parrott to right tackle. Ike Mikwonu can play guard at a very high level. Like, he played all of his sophomore year as left guard, and he was phenomenal at it. He's a great run blocker, but he also can play tackle at a very high level. So if Matt Parrott can't get the job done, Nate Solder can't get the job done, you just put Mikwonu at right tackle and you have best case scenario. I think he's the most flexible, which is why I think he's worth a top 10 pick for anybody who needs a lineman. He can play guard and he can play tackle at very, very, very high levels. If you watch his technique and you watch just how he moves bodies, so I'm literally not kidding when I say this. Someone ends up on their back every single time this guy is blocking them. Like, I'm not kidding. Pick 8, we have the Eagles. This is their first pick. This is the this is Miami's pick. Someone flame me in the comments for forgetting whose pick this was. I'm sorry, but if you're watching out there, this is Miami's pick. They say QB's a need, which I would agree with, but I think if you have 3 first-round picks in a very unsure quarterback class, you take best player available everywhere. You have so many first-round picks. I think Jalen Hurts is good enough that, you ride him for one more year as in 2022. You increase his trade value. You dish him off and draft a quarterback. I think that's the play for the Eagles, and I think it's a very wise play. Obviously, if I think it's the right one. But anyway, the Eagles could just do. I think this is another team where I think they desperately need receiver help, but that's something you could probably address pick 16. This is a deep receiver class. I think if you want to go best player available, I like the idea of addressing the O-line because their O-line is very old. A lot of people are getting hurt. Jason Kelsey might retire. It's a tough pick. I'm gonna go with Kaiir Elam. I like this pick because hear me out on this. They have a pick 2 picks away. I guarantee you that none of these teams, if it's the Falcons and Washington when it's said and done, will take this player that I'm thinking of taking at pick 11. So for that reason, we are now picking for the Atlanta Falcons. I think you have to go edge rusher here. David Ojabo, there he is, flying up the boards. I think the last time we did a draft, he was pick 41 or around here, below Drake Jackson. I do not like Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson to me just does not get pressure. I never see that dude get pressure. I could be wrong. I don't watch every USC game, so don't stone me if I am wrong. But I like Kingsley and Agbarie over Drake Jackson. I like Trayvon Walker over Drake Jackson. I like actually really all 3 of these guys over these 2. David Ojabo is definitely the pick, but we picked him last time. I think pick 9 is just a little too high to go for an interior defensive lineman. However, I do like DeMarvin Leal here because, again, he fills the interior defensive line or the edge position depending on how you want to play him. Wide receiver is definitely a need because I still don't know what the timeline is for Calvin Ridley. I really hope he, gets in the right headspace and can come back to football because he's a great football player. QB is definitely in play. I doubt it would be this pick, a pick 9. But with all that being said, I think I'm going to go with, I think we're going to take, they also need line help. They definitely need interior offensive line help and tackle help. I think we're going to go with David Ojabo again. I think it's just absolute. This kid is going to go top 10, I think. I think he literally just went from 57 up to 28. That's how high and fast over 2 weeks. That's how fast he's moving up the board. I think it's very likely we see both Michigan edge rushers go off the board in the top 15, definitely top 15. But anyway, we have Washington pick 10. So I've drafted Matt Corral for Washington every single week. I still think that it's the right play, but just to change it up, I'm going to take Malik Willis. Sam Howell is probably, I think if I'm Sam Howell, I might play another year in college, to be honest with you. I like Kenny Pickett. I'm a huge Kenny Pickett fan. Love me some Kenny Pickett. I think he's probably the most pro-ready out of any of these quarterbacks over Matt Corral, definitely over Malik Willis. I think Kenny Pickett. He's also making a Heisman, having a pretty successful Heisman campaign. I think if you're Washington, like, stop playing games with your franchise and just freaking take a quarterback, whether you hit or miss. Like, you need, like, you're in it. Like, what people don't understand, like, how good Washington's team actually is, especially their offense. The production doesn't do it justice. But Terry McLaurin, I think if you put him literally with, like, any other quarterback in the NFL except for, like, 5, is a top 5 wide receiver. Like, I really do think he's that good. Their offensive line is amazing. The only contingency on their offensive line is Brandon Sheriff. Like, if Brandon Sheriff doesn't play, like, they pretty much lose every game he's not there. And like the first game he's back, they come back and beat the Bucs. So, like, actually, now that I'm kind of talking about that out loud, tackle makes a lot of sense here. But let's go QB. Let's just keep going QB. But I'm gonna do something crazy and take Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett's better than Malik Willis. I think he's better than Matt Corral. I think if you want to win now, which is where Washington actually is, despite their record, you take Kenny Pickett. But let's go pick 11 with the Eagles. I think this is what I would do if I am the Eagles. Do I want to wait? No, because the Raiders are coming up. I'm going to take Tyler Linderbaum. I think this kid is going to be a Pro Bowler right away. I think he's going to be like the Rashawn Slater of centers in the 2020, what draft? What year is it? 2022 draft. I think with Jason Kelce, the unknown of that, like if he does retire, if not, like you draft this kid. If Jason Kelce gets hurt, you have a plug-and-play starter right away. This kid would learn under one of the best centers of all time. Like, this is a very, very good pick for the Eagles. I know it's not, like, the sexy, most, like, oh, my God, yes. Like, no, but this is, for the franchise, this is for a rebuilding franchise, you're basically getting Jason Kelce 2.0, and it's a very, very good pick, in my opinion. Very good pick. Pick 12, Panthers. Panthers, to me, see, Matt Corral's still on the board. And usually when I do this, Matt Corral's not on the board. But I think they really need a tackle. Like, I think Cam Newton has shown he can play well enough. He is only on a 1 year, but I think Cam Newton can survive them one more year. And then they draft their guy maybe next year or the year after that, I mean. It's tough, though, because you have Corral on the board. And I think Corral would be... Like, Corral's mobile enough. Like, usually when I do this draft, you have... Matt Corral's already gone to Washington. You have Malik Willis. Malik Willis isn't going to be able to play. Matt Corral could come in and play, and he might be mobile enough where he can overcome some of the offensive line, like, woes. I have no idea how low or high I was talking into this mic. Anyway, so I don't know. This is an interesting pick. I'm going to go with Matt Corral. I think this kid actually might be able to succeed in the NFL. I think in that system with those weapons and, like, Matt Rule may not come back and coach again, so could be coming into a new system, which would be actually beneficial because he comes in, he learns one thing, and hopefully they stick to one thing. But like if you want to take the safest pick, you go tackle, which would be, in my opinion, Trevor Penning. I think Trevor Penning's best tackle on the board here. I think he's going to leapfrog these guys. He is like that dominant. Charles Cross is playing very well, but the thing I really don't like about Charles Cross, and I could be wrong, is he sets his anchor so late. Whereas in the NFL, I don't think it's going to work. I think what he does is he lets himself get pushed back and then kind of stands up and leverages them up so he like stops himself. But I don't think that's going to work in the NFL. Like I think when you face like a Myles Garrett, you're just going to get pushed down. To QB or not to QB? I'm going to go with Matt Corral. Actually, no. We're going to go Trevor Penning. They need a left tackle so bad, like really bad. Now that Matt Corral's on the board and the Broncos are still here, we're taking Matt Corral. That's an easy one. Dolphins. I think their offensive line is so bad. It is so bad. Like, Myles Gaskin isn't great, but they, like, cannot run the ball at all. And a lot of it is due to the offensive line play. They desperately need a wide receiver, too, and pick 14 makes a lot of sense for a wide receiver. This is the 49ers pick, so it's slowly moving back, which is why, like, the Dolphins aren't winning games. It just keeps moving back. I think you got to go lineman here. I think you have Kenyon Green still on the board. Great player. He can play guard, and he's one of those players where he can play guard and tackle at a very high level. And I think that's what you need if you're the Dolphins and you're trying to, like, rebuild and win now at the same time. It's some weird stuff. You can never have too many offensive linemen. I think it's definitely a safer pick, too, over a receiver. We're like, I mean, like, if there was a Najee Harris in this class, like, maybe you go Najee Harris at pick 14. Like, they cannot run the ball at all. I would never do that. No running backs in round one if I was GM. Anyway, I'm going to go Kenyon Green. I think they need to fix this offensive line. They need to give Tua time. Tua doesn't look too bad. He's actually played way better than my expectations. He's not playing great football by any means, but he's playing a lot better, in my opinion. So I think you just got to I got to go lineman. Because, like, Jalen Waddle looks great. He looks amazing. He just, like, they don't throw the ball down the field. Like, they don't throw it vertically. I think this is definitely not going to be a Dolphins pick, by the way. I think they're going to trade Deshaun Watson, which will include this pick. Or trade for Deshaun Watson. Anyway, Raiders are up next. They need tackle help. Like, Alex Leatherwood is just not it. I know, like, it says interior D-line and edge. Like, Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue are playing good enough. Max Crosby playing great. He's literally probably going to the Pro Bowl this year. Interior D lineman, I do agree with. And we do have Jordan Davis here and DeMarvin Leal. But I think that offense, I don't know, man. This is a tough one. Because I think whatever the Raiders do, you need to address the trenches. They also do need wide receiver help now that Henry Ruggs is never playing football for a long time, or probably never again. I think Jordan Davis makes a lot of sense, man. They can't stop the run. Like, this is a player where, like, the Chargers are fingers crossed he just falls to them because that fixes the Chargers' run issue. But we just saw last night that the Chargers were able to stop Najee Harris, like, pretty successfully. So maybe Brandon Staley has a good enough plan where this isn't their most pressing need, but I think they definitely would take Jordan Davis because it makes one of their weaknesses less weak than per se another weakness. Like, if that makes sense. But I think since the Raiders have the worst run defense in the entire NFL, I'm going to go with Jordan Davis. I think it makes a lot of sense. And he's also not 26. He's 22. There's another Jordan Davis that played for Georgia who played tight end. He is 26. Anyway, Eagles pick 16. What have we picked for the Eagles so far? We have Kaiir Elam and Tara Linderbaum. Ooh, that's a good draft. What do I want to do with them? They need edge help. Trayvon Walker's sitting there. I like Trayvon Walker a lot. I like Kingsley and Agbury. I also like Zach Harrison. We're going to go with Nakobe Dean. I think Nakobe Dean is definitely the linebacker one of this class. My thing with him, like, my issue with him is he's just slightly undersized, 6 feet tall. But I think he is a phenomenal run block. I think he's just a great do-it-all linebacker. And I think that he is like a heat-seeking missile when it comes to the run game. Like, he will help. Like, the Eagles are already pretty good at stopping the run, but he is going to make them, like, exceptional at stopping the run. At pick 17, we got the Cleveland Browns. Here I like wide receiver, but after watching Baker Mayfield, like, if you watch this channel, if you listen to our podcast, I want to say every Thursday, but it just hasn't been like that because I started a new job. I am not a Baker Mayfield fan. I think he's probably the most overrated player in the NFL, and that's finally coming to light. I've been saying it since preseason. I don't want to get into my argument because we're doing a mock draft, but, like, if you're in that good of a situation, how are you like not like, for instance, Justin Herbert broke every rookie record for a quarterback and was playing at an elite level behind the 32nd ranked offensive line. Do you know how hard that is to do? To play that well behind that bad of an offensive line? Like, he has the best, like, a top 3 offensive line every year. And he stinks. Like, he just stinks. And I know I'm going to get flamed for this by Browns fans, but I'm sorry. Like, I like the Browns. I root for the Browns. Stop lying to yourself. Like, at every point in a fanatic's life, you have to admit to yourself, like, wow, our franchise guy, either he sucks, it's time to move off of him, cough, cough, Big Ben, or we need to just, like, trade this guy. He's, like, now. If I'm looking at paying Baker Mayfield up to 10% of the cap space, absolutely not. No shot. I'd rather sell the whole draft pick for the next 6 years and get Deshaun Watson and just go win a Super Bowl, because that's literally what would happen. But we do have this draft pick, and Baker Mayfield is still on the Browns. Interior offensive line is not. They just literally just paid both of their offensive linemen. They're both their guards. They have the best. They have the 2 best guards. Both of their guards are about to go to the Pro Bowl. Interior D-line, I kind of agree with. Edge, yeah. Like, kind of agree with that. Wide receiver, I think, should be higher than it is, because you have, like, Donovan Peoples-Jones and Jarvis Landry are your 1 and 2. And so we're going to cater to Baker Mayfield's needs. Dude could throw the ball maybe 6 feet successfully. And we are going to draft. Now, before I get flamed, I understand he has like a 13-point-something yards per completion, but it's all play-action rollout, and then he just takes a shot. It's great. It's great strategy by Kevin Stefanski. No knock against the Browns. It's just Baker Mayfield. I'm going to take Jameson Williams. I think this kid is going to fly up the draft board. This kid is so good, man. I think he has like 100 and close to 110 yards per game. He transferred from Ohio State to Alabama to get playing time. This is his first season at Alabama, and he's leading them in receiving yards. He's leading them in receiving touchdowns. This kid's really, really good, and he's probably the fastest wide receiver in the draft. We will find that out by the combine, but I love Jameson Williams. This kid is really, really good, and he's really fast. And in this offense of like rollout, play action, run first, you get this kid the ball on a slant or an open space, and like, dude, he's gone. Absolutely gone. Then pick 18, we have the wherever they're the San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers. They do need edge help. I think you got to go interior defensive line here. You like desperately need help stopping the run. I also am not a fan of I'm a fan of going wide receiver, but I think with this pick, absolutely not. So we're gonna go with DeMarvin Leal. This is someone who can play off the edge. He can play off in the interior, and I think someone with like Brandon Staley. Someone that creative and that good at coaching a defense, like this is the guy you want, because you could like Patrick Graham for the New York Giants took the Giants defense from 20 whatever to 9th because he was able to attack their weaknesses through scheme. And I think that like we just saw the Steelers get not dominated because they almost came back, but they almost beat the Chargers the Chargers almost beat the Steelers because they couldn't run the ball as much as they wanted to. You get a cat like DeMarvin Leal who can play the interior and can play the edge. And like why I'm saying like can do both is because he's the appropriate height for an edge rusher, but he's 30 pounds heavier than Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau, who are the best edge rushers in the class. That's why like he's not heavy enough to play on the interior, but he's not light enough to go on the edge or like to be as fast, as bendy as those edge rushers. What I could see happening with him is like a team like the Chargers, if they draft him, they would be like, hey, put on 20 pounds and or 15 pounds and we're going to ask you to play nose tackle. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think the Chargers are going to need to do that because I think Brandon Staley's that good of a coach. But that's why I keep saying he could do both. Like that is why. It's strictly because of his weight and his athleticism. Like he's very athletic to get off the edge or to just get through the middle. Pick 19. I'm not going quarterback here. I don't think that's the play. I think wide receiver is the play. And I think if you pair Michael Thomas with someone like Treylon Burks or I'm a huge Drake London guy. I think this kid's going to be I think this is going to be, like, better Michael Pittman, and Michael Pittman's a baller right now. I'm not a huge Jahan Dotson guy. I like Traylon Burks a lot. And obviously I like the Ohio State guys. For me, I always forget which one of these guys are coming out of the slot. Yeah, it's this one. Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, to a lot of people, is the best wide receiver in the draft. I don't agree with that. I'm not sure if Jameson Williams is the best wide receiver in the class. I think he's just, for the Browns, for them to address a positional need with great value, Jameson Williams would be it. Plus, they could take Garrett Wilson here, and it would be like the same thing, in my opinion. I think just Jameson Williams, provides a little bit more than Garrett Wilson. But for the Saints, they have Michael Thomas. I would like Chris Olave here, someone who could attack the intermediate parts of the field and let Michael Thomas do either slant routes or go deep or do whatever. But I also like Drake London. Like, if you want to make Michael Thomas your perimeter receiver who attacks the middle of the field, the shallow parts of the field, to also go deep, but also you want someone who could do the same thing on the opposite side, Drake London. I think Drake London, you see USC. USC has a pretty horrible quarterback. I don't even know who it is off the top of my head. But, is it? Hold up. Yeah, it's Caden Slovis. That kid. Talk about being overhyped. Anyway. So, when I watched Drake London, they use him on a lot of screens. And, if you just look at his build, before he was hurt, he's 6'5", 210. He is a big, long receiver. And he has, he's like Kenny Golladay, where if you throw it to him and he's not open, he's open type of receiver. And I think that would make the Saints a lot harder to cover, because you have Michael Thomas, who's Michael Thomas, when healthy, is a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. People forget he is that good. Then you pair him up with Drake London, who's can do the same things as Michael Thomas, and he's gonna have a worse D-back covering him. Dude, I just talked myself into taking Drake London. Drake London is 100% the pick here. I think you could take any of these receivers. I think the best outcome with someone like Sean Payton is Drake London. Okay, we have the Cowboys, the Vikings. So I've talked about this a lot. I think the Vikings are at a very peculiar spot where they kind of need to start a rebuild, but they also don't at the same time, because they do, but they can't because of Kirk Cousins. A lot of corners have fallen. Ahmad Gardner's still here and Andrew Booth is still here. They need safety help, and I think at pick 20 it is a very appropriate spot to take a safety. We took Kyle Hamilton, but Kyle Hamilton is going to be quote unquote the unicorn of this year. I like Jordan Battle. I love Jordan Battle. I also really like Daxton Hill. I think the Vikings very much so often get burnt over the top a lot. That was very evident in the Cowboys game. I was forgetting who they just played. God, my brain is the size of a peanut sometimes. Who did they play? Oh, the Packers. Yeah, they got toasted over the top. And in the red zone, their safeties they're just lost. Let's take Daxton Hill here. I think that's a good pick for the Vikings. It's also the other pick I would make is one of the corners, because I think when you're starting a rebuild, the timeline makes sense for them to take a corner, because they could take a corner, and corners are always developmental players. There's a very few rare exceptions. But you take a corner, and by the time you're ready to go off of Kirk Cousins and draft your quarterback and truly start the rebuild, you have a true cornerback one here. So that's where I'm at with that. But I think because of their predicament and they're still going to compete, a safety makes a lot of sense here. But anyway, pick 21. They dude, I'm very against taking a running back round 1. I've seen it fail too many times. Two exceptions, Najee Harris and Ezekiel Elliott. But when the Cowboys took Zeke, they had a premier offensive line. Najee Harris is a freak of nature. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 32nd overall pick, is not panning out. Just Saquon Barkley, drafted into the worst situation ever. Yeah, he was a freak and got 2,000 all-purpose yards, but injuries because of them not being prepared to play, to just do other things or protect him. With the Bills and how ready to win they are right now, running back makes a ton of sense, because they're so, their one-dimensionality, if that's a word, if not, I just created it. they have to throw the ball so much, and it's like too predictable. They need center help. They need interior offensive line help for sure. Darian Kennard makes a lot of sense here, but they can't run the ball. And like if we're gonna make our strength stronger and leave our weaknesses to be weak, then like don't take the running back. But I think you need to stop skimping out on your wide receiver too. Like, yeah, Emmanuel Sanders is great, but you have Garrett Wilson here, you have Chris Olave here, you have Traylon Burks here. All of these players who could be wide receiver ones on a different team would be your wide receiver two with Stephon Diggs. That makes a lot of sense to me. I think the Bills are definitely going to be in a Super Bowl window for at least 2 more years before they have to start paying people. They did pay Josh Allen. They're gonna their Super Bowl window is getting smaller because of their growing cap expenses. I think you go out and you get a win now piece, which would be running back or wide receiver. But I also think they could go interior offensive line and take Darian Kennard. Darian Kennard's a very good guard. He is playing right tackle right now for Kentucky. I think he's going to play guard at the next level. I think a lot of people think that. And he would on the Bills. He would because they're pretty set at tackle. I'm gonna go ahead and take I'm taking Traylon Burks. I think they need an alpha wide receiver too, because like if you're gonna throw the ball that often and you're gonna be that predictable, you have to win every time. Make your strength stronger. Leave your weaknesses to survive. That's what I would say, unless they go running back, because then you're like really, really addressing a need, but the value is just not there. Because we saw like Travis Etienne, second first-round pick for the Jaguars, out for the season before camp ends with Liz Frank, whatever that is. His foot got screwed up. Pick 22. We have this is an easy one. Tackle. I like Charles Cross. I think in this offense, Charles Cross makes a lot of sense because once Charles Cross anchors, you're stuck. But if you could beat him, he's toast. He doesn't recover that well. Nicholas Petit Frere, I butcher this kid's name every time. He makes a lot of sense, but in a run-heavy offense. And yes, well, actually, he does make a lot of sense here too. Because people don't realize Joe Mixon, he may not have too many 100-yard games, but they're feeding him 27 touches a game, 25 touches a game. And a lot of people don't realize that. So for this cat makes a lot of sense. Definitely a safer prospect coming out of Ohio State. He's battle tested. Charles Cross though, has taken the step. I have my own personal gripes with him, but I am by no means a offensive line scout. I just do this for fun, and I'm kind of good at it. Subtle flex, but I don't know, man. I think you take one of them. It's just which one. And that, for this video, it doesn't matter too much because this is all going to change so much. For all we know, Nicholas Petit Frere could become the best tackle prospect by come March. So I'm going to go with Charles Cross. I think he's just more for an air raid offense like the Bengals have. Charles Cross is a better scheme fit than Nicholas Petit. We're just going to call him Nicholas. He's better than Nicholas. And then you have the Steelers, who probably are going to take whichever one they don't want. But I haven't mocked the Steelers taking a quarterback, and that's what we're going to do here. I think Malik Willis falling all the way to 23 is all the sense in the world. The only problem is he's not going to be ready to play next year. I also think that the Packers are very, very so much so sneakily in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. And if that's the case, they're not going to have this pick, but they would go tackle. Dude, I think they did. I think they're just going to run the ball until they're dead. So I'm going to go with Petit. We haven't taken them a quarterback. I'm going to take Malik Willis. Somehow he fell to them at 23. I think the upside's there. I just think a lot of these teams don't want to gamble on a quarterback. I think the Eagles would be one. They don't really Jalen Hurts is good enough, right? For another year. Falcons maybe would take him. I think the Panthers maybe would take him. Maybe the Saints. I think Jameis is playing very well before he got hurt, and then after the Saints, it's no. So Steelers maybe get a steal right there. Pick 24. We have the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers just need depth. Like, they need a ton of depth at cornerback and in their secondary, because, like, a lot of the reason they're losing games is because they're so thin on defense. Perion Winfrey might creep into the first round, but I would highly doubt it. You could always bolster the O-line. Darian Kennard would be a great value pick here. Zion Johnson's moving up draft boards. But for me, I think the cornerback value is way too valuable here. You have Trent McDuffie, Roger McCreary, Ahmad Gardner, and Andrew Booth. I'm going to go with Ahmad Gardner, though. I like the Sauce a lot. Sauce. And then you have Kansas City's defense, which magically just revived itself over the past, 2 weeks. Against very, very good offensive teams. You have the Raiders and then the Cowboys. Held the Cowboys 9 points. So maybe they don't go corner. I think, though, you could never have too many corners, and Andrew Booth is just sitting here. Yeah, we're going to go to Andrew Booth. This is where it gets interesting. Patriots, to me, the two biggest things they need is a wide receiver. They need a wide receiver bad, and they need a cornerback. Now, you have Trent McDuffie here, which makes a lot of sense. Or you go wide receiver, and you could take one of the two Ohio State boys. George Pickens is going to be very good. He's been hurt all year, so he's not getting too much hype. Excuse me. I think we're going to go with Garrett Wilson. I like Garrett Wilson a lot for the Patriots. I think they throw a lot of passes from the slot, a lot of shallow passes. I think Garrett Wilson makes a ton of sense. They also need a big body, but Allen Robinson is still is going to free agency. Devontae Parker is going to be a free agent. I mean, he's not as appealing, but they have options. And Bill Belichick has shown that when he needs to spend money, he will spend money. So that's kind of how I'm looking at this now. I think Garrett Wilson would be a great pick. But you also could go corner here and take Trent McDuffie. Or even Roger McCreary. I think Roger McCreary is going to creep into the beginning of the second round. Lions, this is another place where we're going wide receiver. Fun fact, their two leading receivers, or two players leading in receiving yards, are DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson. Neither of them play wide receiver. So do you think they need a wide receiver? Yes. This is where I'm going to take Chris Olave. I just think that they need someone to help. Help me is what I feel bad for Jared Goff, because Jared Goff is playing like trash, but he really has no help. He doesn't have a wide receiver on the field, so it's hard to be like Jared Goff is trash. I mean, it is. I say it all the time, but he doesn't have anybody. He doesn't have Kenny Golladay there anymore. He doesn't have Marvin Jones there anymore. So really, is Khalif Raymond and Amon-Ra St. Brown going to get you 1,000 yards receiving? No, it's just not going to happen. Okay. Cowboys. We have mocked the Cowboys a safety every single time, and it still makes sense. But I also have been in talks with some Cowboys fans on Instagram, and they have raised the point that they desperately need corner help, which I actually do agree with. I agreed with it before they said it, but they kind of have talked me out of safety is their biggest need. Wide receiver's not. I don't know why that here. Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz are amazing. Micah Parsons could play edge, apparently, at a very high level. And then safety, they have 3 safeties. I think 2 of them are going into free agency, which why the safety pick makes sense. But they do have a depth at safety. So for me, I'm going Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie makes sense here. He's fallen to 28. I like this pick a lot. Now, again, we're seeing a run on the corners. It could have been corner. The Ravens also need cornerback help, and this is where I'm taking Roger McCreary. Their secondary is good. They just almost lost to the Bears. Granted, there was no Lamar Jackson, but it was blown coverage over the top. They need secondary help, whether that's in the form of a safety or a cornerback. I think the safest pick is to just go corner. Now, they could take a safety there. We didn't even think about it, but I'm not too brushed up on what the Ravens safety situation looks like. I'm going to have to reach out to my boy Nick. Big Ravens fan, big football guy. Knows his stuff. Anyway, pick 30. I like the idea of them going quarterback because Aaron Rodgers is not going to be there. Devontae Adams will also not be there. You have Desmond Ridder. You have Carson Strong. You have Sam Howell. I don't like any of these guys. So I'm going to just ride the Jordan Love wave and get him a weapon, and that's going to be... see, I like George Pickens. I'm not a huge Jahan Dotson guy. But I think you have Amari Rodgers who's going to play out of the slot. You need an X receiver. That's why I kind of like George Pickens over Jahan Dotson. I feel like Jahan Dotson is going to play like more of like... He is a perimeter receiver, but I think he's going to attack the intermediate from the perimeter. Whereas George Pickens, who was a very touted wide receiver before injury, like has fallen because of that. I'm gonna go with George Pickens. I think this is the first one we have George Pickens in the first round. Titans. What to do with the Titans? Their edge rush is great, but Bud Dupree just got put on IR. I don't know if he's out for the season. I don't think he is. I think it's only a 3-week stint and he'll be back. Just like the thing with the Titans is like they're gonna make the playoffs pretty much no matter what. So might as well put him on the IR, get him healthy. But it does beg the question, like, hey, your edge rushers are kind of old. Do you want to take another one? But I think you know linebacker is more of a need for them. I like Christian Harris because I think he's going to be able to play better coverage than Devin Lloyd will. Or Brandon Smith is rising up boards. Penn State is just producing freak 40 times. I think Micah Parsons ran like a 4.4 last year. Something ridiculous for his size. I'm going to go with Devin Lloyd, though. Devin Lloyd's played exceptional this year. He's going to come into the NFL and just be able to play right away, kind of like similar to Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah last year, except more of a physical run-stuffing linebacker than Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who is more of a coverage linebacker who could do both. So I'm going to take Devin Lloyd. And then we have the Cardinals. They need corner help. Like, they're in that Super Bowl window where, like, just get as many corners as you can. But I think with J.J. Watt getting hurt, edge makes a lot of sense here, and I'm going to go with Trayvon Walker from Georgia. I think getting another edge, being able to get to the quarterback, just going to make everybody's life easier. Going to make the corner's life easier. Going to make safety's life easier. Going to make offense's life easier. Everybody's life easier. But anyway, that's going to do it for Mock Draft 3.0. Please, again, like reminder, if you made it this far, do not flame me for the draft order. I have nothing to do with it. You guys saw me. I clicked it, and it was there. That's all I could do. But anyway, please like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. It helps out a lot. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If I didn't make the right pick for your team, please explain to me why I was wrong in the comment section. I'm always down to be wrong. I just may think your opinion's trash. Probably not, though, because I'm very, like, open to being wrong. And, again, like, I'm not a fan of every 32 teams. So, like, you are going to see something. If you're a fan of Washington, you're going to see something that I'm not seeing from a Washington football fan perspective. You're going to know more about the ins and outs of everything. So, please, take to the comment section. You can call me an idiot, but then explain why. Don't just say, like, Mike, you're an idiot. Explain to me why I'm an idiot. Then I'm just going to be like, all right, cool. I was an idiot. I'm going to change that. But, like, please, you can call me an idiot, and that's fine. But I'm going to ask you why. I'm going to say, why am I an idiot? So just do me the favor of do yourself the favor, too, if you can still call me an idiot, but explain why I'm an idiot. That's all I'm asking you. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. That's going to do it for this mock draft. We will catch you next Monday in the next mock draft video. Peace!